Hey everyone, welcome to table tip number 3. This is going to be focusing on SRAC for statutory research. Now I think we've all heard of the story of Stella Lieback. She's the woman who sued McDonald's in the hot coffee lawsuit. In the case, Lieback's attorney argued that at 100 to 190 degrees, McDonald's coffee was defective, claiming it was too hot and more likely to cause serious injury than coffee served at any other establishment. Since the Lieback lawsuit, similar suits have been filed against Chick-fil-A, Starbucks, Dunkin' Donuts, Wendy's, Burger King, and more. In fact, Lieback's case gave rise to the Caution Contents Hot label found on coffee cups. So while we're all aware that coffee is hot, McDonald's and other facilities serving coffee warns us of the potential hazard. Why? Because they know dispensing hot coffee in their facility is a potential hazard. In the Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act, under 21 United States Service Code 350G, requires that the owner, operator, or agent in charge of a facility shall identify and evaluate known or reasonably foreseeable hazards that may be associated with the facility. Let's conduct the statutory research on this law. When you're conducting statutory research, remember SRAC, S-R-A-C. This will help you complete a thorough research across all the critical sources for statutory resource. The S stands for statute. We're going to find the statute, then read through the text and annotations. The R stands for regulations. You'll need to find any regulations promulgated under the statute that may clarify statutory language or create additional rules or duties. The A stands for administrative materials. You'll need to find any agency decisions, guidelines, or guidance on the law. And finally, the C stands for cases. You'll need to find cases that have interpreted or applied the law to determine how courts are likely to rule. Now, let's begin. Now, there are two ways to put your statutory information. We can directly put in 21 USCS Section 350, or we can go through the source of United States Code Service, and we're going to demonstrate how to do that. And now it's going to populate as a source and collect it as a source. Now we're going to be going to Title 21 of Food and Drugs, and we already know we are looking for the Federal Food and Drug Cosmetic Act, so that's going to be Chapter 9. And now we already know we're looking for food. So if we scroll into food, now we're able to find sections 341 all the way through 350. And now we know we're looking for 350G, so we're going to click on the Hazardous Analysis and Risk-Based Preventive Controls. Now this is going to be all the information that you may necessarily, that will be presented within this particular section. And now the annotations that I've scrolled down to will lead you to important cases that interpret and apply this statute. A lot of your research has already been conducted once you simply retrieve the statute in question. Next, you need to read the regulations promulgated under the statute. The regulations can clarify statutory language and create additional rules or duties that must be followed. So this is a critical step in your research. When you're reviewing the statute, you can simply scroll to the bottom of the page and then view the research references and practice age, which is I've already done, and this is where will be able to find the relevant regulations. Or if you run a term search, such as beverage warning label, you'll find the regulations by clicking on the Administrative Codes and Regulations. Here I've narrowed down to the U.S. federal jurisdiction and the source of code of federal regulations.
After viewing the regulations, you will also want to find any irrelevant administrative material such as agency guidelines, guidance, and decisions. You can do this by simply clicking on the Administrative Material tab, which I have currently where my mouse is, and then you can narrow the list by jurisdiction, federal, or by selecting a specific agency, such as the Department of Health and Human Services. And finally, you'll want to find cases that interpret and apply the law so you know how courts are likely to do. Simply, to do this, we're going to come back to the Cases button up in the top left-hand corner, and then you want to narrow down your jurisdiction, and then enter any additional terms. So you just simply do that by the narrow by or the court. Now that is the SRAC process for statutory research, finding the statute in question, the regulations, the administrative materials, and then the cases that interpret and apply the statute. This process will ensure you're conducting a thorough and efficient statutory research on any topic. Now, once you've completed this video, what you're going to do is go to the link that was part of your email to receive this video and answer the question that is found on the document form. And of course, remember to put your name and your school so we can process this table points of 50 points. See you next week.